Thank you, Melissa, and good morning to everybody. So, any transportation plan and transportation planning process starts with a vision. Our vision for RTP 2050 is a transportation system based on regional collaboration that moves people and goods in a safe and efficient manner, inclusive of all modes and users. The vision represents the ultimate outcome of what SJTPO, stakeholders, and residents would like the transportation system to look like and operate in the year 2050. Next slide, please. So underlying the vision are a series of goals. The goals are a series of broad statements that define what we want to achieve in our region. Goals are intended to achieve the vision. Our goals are based upon metropolitan planning factors. That is a list of factors listed in the FAST Act, also known as the Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act, which is the current transportation legislation that authorizes much of metropolitan planning. And these planning factors are factors that the federal government deems should guide the metropolitan planning process. Now, the order of our goals were based on the results of a goal prioritization exercise completed during phase 1 of the outreach conducted in the summer of 2019, just about a year ago. Next slide, please. So now we're going to be going through the goals, and underlying each of these goals are strategies. Strategies are basically actions that the SJTPO could take to achieve the goals. Our strategies were developed by central staff along with input from the TAC, or the Technical Advisory Committee that Melissa described a little bit earlier, as well as public input. Now, a handout listing each of the goals and strategies, I think is put in your chat box or slightly above the chat box that Melissa put at the beginning of the presentation. Now, for the purposes of time, I'm only going to go through a handful of all the strategies, but I do want to point out that all the goals and strategies are pointed out and described in more detail in Chapter 4 of the RTP 2050, if you haven't already read it. And a final note about the strategies in general, we really made an attempt to make them actionable, i.e. strategies that the SJTPO could actually act upon as opposed to just being aspirational. So now I'm going to, again, go through each of the goals and just highlight a few of the strategies just to kind of give you a taste. The top ranked goal is promote accessibility and mobility for the movement of all peoples and goods. Now, indeed, the major function of any transportation system is to provide accessibility. That is, access to important destinations such as work, shopping, education, recreation, etc. Systems also provide mobility. How do you get there? What roads or other modes such as transit or bicycling, walking do you take to get to your destination? So a sample strategy, or just a strategy to point out, advanced transit for the transportation disadvantaged. We want to ensure that the most vulnerable populations, such as the disabled, elderly, and poor, have the means to get to their destinations. The Access for All Transit Plan, which is SJTPO's Regional Coordinated Human Service Transportation Plan update, and that's currently in progress, will aid in carrying out this strategy as it identifies the needs and gaps in this area and will make recommendations to fill those gaps. Next slide, please. So the second ranked goal is mitigate traffic congestion and promote efficient system operation. Now, while the SJTPO region is generally not congested relative to other areas in other parts of the state, the significant seasonal population influx of almost threefold during the summer, as Alan mentioned in the critical issues earlier, causes major traffic congestion in the summer tourist season. By mitigating traffic congestion, we mean reduce traffic congestion. And promoting efficient system operation are strategies that optimize the performance of the existing infrastructure through various strategies. Next slide, please. The third ranked goal is restore, preserve, and maintain the existing transportation system. Due to limited funds within the SJTPO region, most of the money in our current transportation improvement program also known as the TIP, goes towards system preservation work, including roadway preservation, bridge preservation, and New Jersey Transit system preservation. System preservation includes resurfacing of existing roadways, fixing potholes on a roadway, resurfacing a bridge deck, and replacing some deteriorating track on a transit line. These are just a few examples. Next slide, please. Goal 4, support the regional economy. As was seen in the earlier critical issues discussion, SJTPO is more economically distressed relative to other parts of the state. As such, supporting the regional economy is a major goal in our transportation plan. While much of the discussion in RTP 2050 for this goal focuses on goods movement, it really affects the entire transportation system, as a good transportation system is strongly linked to economic and regional development. A major strategy is improved truck routes. By this, we will be working with our regional partners to identify and evaluate truck routes and other critical freight corridors for accessibility, reliability, safety, and other system performance measures in order to develop and prioritize projects. In addition, as part of our FY 2021 work program, the SJTPO is planning to prepare a regional freight plan that highlights the specific needs of county and local roadways to enhance the movement of goods. Next slide, please. Goal 5, improve the resiliency and reliability of the transportation infrastructure. In the context of transportation, resiliency could be defined as the capacity to sustain a shock, recover, and continue to function, and more generally cope with change. This should be very familiar to most residents of this area, as we experienced Superstorm Sandy in 2012, as well as other extreme weather events, including Hurricane Isaias just a few weeks ago, which has really tested the resilience of our transportation system. Reliability in the context of transportation often refers to travel time reliability, which reflects variability of travel time. A reliable transportation system dependably provides users with a consistent range of predictable travel times. Next slide, please. Goal 6, increase and enhance opportunities for travel and tourism. Now, as was stated in the critical issues section earlier, tourism dominates the economic and transportation landscape in the SJTPO region. For many residents of both the region and visitors to the region, a highlight of the summer is a trip to the Jersey Shore, much of which lies in Atlantic and Cape May counties in the SJTPO region. So it makes sense that a major goal for our transportation system would be to increase opportunities for travel and tourism. A major strategy is advanced South Jersey Trails. South Jersey Trails is an initiative to build a multi-purpose trail system within the SJTPO region that would connect major attractions within the region. This is somewhat analogous to the Circuit Trail system in the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission region, which is the Philadelphia MPO. Next slide, please. Goal 7, improve transportation safety. In 2018, there were more than 12,000 crashes in the 4-county SJTPO region and 33 fatal crashes. If users of the transportation system do not reach their destination safely, nothing else matters. SJTPO has a long-standing record of placing a high priority on safety. And one of the major strategies for this goal, safety outreach and education. SJTPO collaborates with a number of organizations on programs that address different facets of safety. We present education programs to schools within the SJTPO region. These include programs for drivers of all ages, such as defensive driving, and programs for high school students, such as Share the Keys and its basic physics. These are just a sampling of the major programs, and they are all described more fully in the plan. Goal 8, enhance the integration and connectivity of the transportation system. In the context of transportation, integration and connectivity can mean multiple things, although in this plan, we interpret integration as the ease of transfer between modes. It's also a term, intermodalism is also a term that refers to this. While connectivity refers to how well different routes or sections of the transportation system connect to each other. A well-connected street grid will offer a variety of routes for vehicles to help reduce congestion and provide alternative routes in the case of incidents, construction, or special events. Next slide, please. Goal 9, protect and enhance the environment and complement land use planning. As was described earlier in the critical issues section, and as many who live and work here probably already know, the SJTPO region is rich in environmental resources. These include the pinelands, natural scenic areas, wildlife habitat areas, wetlands, and numerous other valuable resources which need to be protected. While state laws help in this effort, the SJTPO must always consider the negative effects of vehicular traffic on the natural and human environment in its planning. Next slide, please. And finally, improve security. Within the context of transportation, security planning focuses on the protection of critical infrastructure by preventing, preparing against, expediting responses, and facilitating quick recovery in response to a major natural disaster, such as a hurricane, or a man-made event, such as an incident at a nuclear power plant. And I think for those of you who don't know, we do have a nuclear power plant in our region in Salem County. While SJTPO has many critical infrastructure assets within its confines, we do not own or operate any infrastructure assets. As of now, SJTPO has a more limited role in this area compared to some of the previous goals, but we will undoubtedly be expanding our role in this important area in the future. So in summary, all these goals and strategies, again, can be found in Chapter 4 of the RTP, which goes into more detail on each of the goals and the strategies, as well as future projects and programs that will help to meet these goals.